as a runner more than a passer, or something you feel like you exceeded more in, how fun was it just like grabbing the ball and maybe just trucking somebody that was in front of you, like running them over?
Oh, it was so much fun. I got the green flag from my coach, and he said, if the Red Sea parts and you just see the gap up the middle, and like all the defense is covering every single player, I always got the okay to take off and run. And he said, just go get the first down or whatever. And it wasn't ever my intention to truck someone, but they came, and I was like, I don't want to get tackled yet. I can keep running. So I know from rugby to just drop your shoulder into them. And yeah, I ended up trucking a few people during my time playing.
Hey guys, welcome back to another interview here on Toned In Entertainment. Usually this is a lot of wrestling, comics, pop culture, but today we're venturing a little bit out as I actually have my first not only football player here on the channel, but a former women's football player as well with Jayne Caldwell. How are you doing, Jayne?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on this show. I'm super excited. I am doing really well, thank you.
Now, more than just football, you seem to be kind of like a Jane of all trades. You've got a lot going on other than just being a former football player. You've got
Yeah.
a clothing line out there. You got Bish Fit. Is that how you say it? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, it's a fitness app. We are going to do clothing, but we're not doing clothing just yet.
Okay, because you see like all the models on there. I think I just assumed it was all clothing, but
It was clothing. Yeah.
so tell me a little bit about the fitness app and why it's different and why people should join up and sign up for this.
Yeah, of course. So I started Bish Fit after I walked away from football. So for people that don't know, I was in the States for 4 years playing American football at what is one of the highest levels for women's football. And I was lucky enough to be able to go around the country and train at very good gyms, like sports performance gyms all around the country. And I learned a lot of techniques on how to build your body a certain way during my time in the States. And after I left football, I wanted to stay in the space of either working with athletes or working with females. And it just happened that my business partner and I, who I also played with, she was my teammate in LA and Chicago, we played together. We decided to create a fitness app for women because we understood the female body, and we learned so much about the female body while we were over in the States working. I think America has one of the best sports performance programs in the world, like better than Australia and Europe. So we wanted to take everything that we learned during our time in America and put it all into an app for women for overall health and wellness. So our app doesn't just focus on like physical fitness and going to the gym. Like it doesn't just stop there. We also take one step further, and we also focus on self-development, mindset, and self-love, which is like it's a pain point for a lot of women out there who go to the gym to then be able to love themselves. But where we're different is what we try to teach and turn the narrative to be you love yourself first, and because you love yourself you then go and work out and do all the good things that are good for your body. So our app has a little bit of everything for overall women's wellness. We have a nutrition section, we have our self-love bible, which is the self-love aspect of the app, and then we also have multiple gym and home programs as well.
I think that's very important because, there's a lot of workout techniques and stuff like that, but I feel like, especially here in 2023, a lot of us are dealing with, you know, there's a lot of mental issues going around and a lot of self-esteem and a lot of, just self-motivation, self-love. And I think that having an app that really can focus in on everything other than to tell you to do just some bicep curls and some squats, and go a little bit further, I think it's very important.
Yeah, definitely. Because this baby was born during COVID, like we did the all the base work for the app during COVID. And I think it was very prevalent in that time, all of the mental health issues that came from that. And also, like another big thing is social media comparison for women. Women go on social media and they see all of these women who they think are real, but it could be heavily edited, or it's just not as real as what they think it is. And they're comparing themselves to something that's not realistic. And so we're just trying to show women out there, like, what real women are out there doing, what they look like. You can't be super flat all the time. Like women, we generally have bloating, which is normal. And yeah, it's just like just trying to get that narrative out there with so much other content that they're consuming. We're just trying to get a more positive, loving narrative out there.
Do you think that the filtering of the women using filtering on social media, do you think that's a big problem nowadays?
I don't know if it's a problem. I know a lot of women, I think they're beautiful without the filter. Even I myself sometimes feel like I need a filter on days where I don't think I look beautiful enough to take content for social media. But then all my friends around me say, you look exactly the same from the other day when you didn't use a filter. So I think it just depends on the woman. But I think it's good that they have the option out there. If that's what makes them feel better, then fair enough, like do whatever you need to do to feel better. But yeah, I honestly believe that all women out there look beautiful without the filter, and I love the more natural narrative, and I'm trying to turn towards that more myself. But I'm not perfect, and I still have days where I feel a little bit insecure or whatever, and I decide to use a filter. But yeah, I don't know if it's damaging or I don't know, making things worse, but it definitely makes things a little bit unrealistic.
Yeah, I mean, I think whether it's men or women, I think we're all guilty of adding a little saturation to us or a little blurring or something. I think if anybody says, well, anybody that uses a filter, I think we've all, even if you've touched it just a little bit, you've technically used a filter. So I think we're all guilty of that at some point, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Now, you grew up in Australia, is that correct?
Yes, I was actually born in Thailand, and that's where I am at the moment. Yeah, I'm in Thailand. I actually fly to Australia next week, early next week. But then when I was about 3 years old, my family decided that we were going to move to Australia. My dad is Australian, which is why we decided to move there. He also wanted my brother and I to get an education in Australia because it was a lot better than the education on offer in Thailand. So yeah, I moved to Australia when I was about 3 years old, and I spent majority of my life there, like primary school, high school. I also went to university in Australia. And then yeah, it wasn't until I was, I think 2021 is when I moved to the States for 4 years to play American football. So yeah, that was kind of my journey. And after the States, I was there until 2018, the end of 2018. And then after that, I moved back home for a bit. I moved back to Thailand for a couple months to see family, and then back to Australia. And then, yeah, COVID hit, and that's then I got stuck for a while.
So when you came over from Australia to America, what was like the biggest culture shock for you?
Okay, the first thing, it was like the day that I landed, a couple hours after I left the airport, the very first time I ever came to America. The first thing that shocked me was having to tip, because in Australia you don't have to tip at restaurants. So I ate my meal, I was starving. I'd just gotten off the flight, and I don't love plain food. Plain food is super average. So I was so excited to go have my first meal in the States. And I was with two other friends, and we sat down and we had our first meal. We paid, and the waitress came over and she said, did I do something wrong? And we're like, no, like everything was great. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, oh, you guys didn't leave a tip. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that we had to leave a tip. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. She's like, yeah, like that's customary in the States to leave a tip. The service was good and the food was good. You leave a tip. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that. So I left a tip. And I think that was like the first thing that made me realize, okay, even though America speaks English, just like Australia, there are a lot of cultural differences. And one of the cultural differences actually that is my favorite is the sports culture in America. It's so different to Australia. And I don't know, Australians, they love sport, but they're not like die-hard sport fans. Like in America, like we don't have tailgating. We don't have, like people going out in the snow to watch a football game. If it rains in Australia, no one's going to the game. Like it's a completely different culture. So that's one thing that I really love about America.
Yeah, because I live in Miami, Florida. So we're here with the Dolphins down here. And it's legit like the gates open at like 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning for a 1 p.m. game. And people are lined down the street to come in and just barbecue for four. Some people don't even go into the stadium to watch the game. They just stay out
Yeah.
there like legitimately, like I'm not lying, like legitimately, they stay out there and they party. Then the game ends, and
Yeah.
then they party for another 2 hours until the cops kick them out of there, type deal.
Yeah, it's insane. One time I was in Buffalo with Quincy, and we were there for a completely different reason, but there ended up being a Bills game against, I can't remember who they were playing at the time, but like, oh, let's just go check it out. Like, we didn't have tickets, like maybe we can go buy a ticket at the door. And we didn't even end up going to watch the game. We just stayed and tailgated with everyone because it was so much fun. I mean, everyone had screens and everything, so you could still see the game going on. But the tailgating was so much fun and everyone was so welcoming. Everyone was making food. It was such an incredible environment. I was like, wow.
It seems to be like, I think that for like most cities for the NFL here, it's like legit. You've got people playing Xbox out there. You got the music. You got the DJs. I mean, they put stripper poles up in the parking lot. It's unlike anything I think else out there. Like basketball doesn't get that. Baseball doesn't get that. Hockey doesn't get that. It's only American football that legitimately gets. And it's the NFL. Like college, I don't even think they even like let them really tailgate, or maybe it's like a limited
Okay.
amount of time or something. But the NFL, yeah, it's like legit. Like it's like, yeah, it's full blown party mode.
Yeah,
More
it's
games
next
sometimes.
level. It's amazing. I love it.
Now, how did you get into playing football? Okay, because for people that don't know, you did do the Lingerie Football League
Yeah.
for several years. You won a championship, at least one that I know of,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how did the football journey as a female begin? Like, as a male, I know how it usually begins, but as a female.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And my journey was even more different because I'm from Australia as well. And American football is not a big sport in Australia at all. But it kind of started for me. My friend's auntie started like some social American football league because her husband is American. They were trying to bring American sports to Australia. And yeah, they were trying to start a women's league, but it was very social and very casual. It wasn't anything serious, but they were just looking for numbers because they couldn't even fill up a whole team. And they just said, just come down and like, play and, just have some fun, like whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come give it a go. And I played there for a little bit. And then the head coach had a contact in the States and he found out that the LFL, the Lingerie Football League in the US, who they at the time they had LFL USA and LFL Canada. So they were looking to expand to another country and they were looking to come out to LFL Australia. And our head coach at the time, he was like, you guys should go and try out. Like, this is a great opportunity for you girls. Like you should go do that. So I ended up going to try out for LFL Australia. But I honestly going into it, I didn't have any expectation because I didn't grow up with the game. I didn't understand the game. Um, you know, our calls on the social league was just hand off left, hand off right. Like we didn't have formations and we didn't have proper play calling. And it was just like one short pass, long pass, and that's it. And you just got to find the player. So it was very, very simple. And I didn't think that I would be able to compete against other girls, who had that knowledge. But then when I went to the tryout, it was all Australian girls. There was no American girls there. And I mean, there were American girls, but they were part of the coaching staff. They weren't trying out. They were just helping run the tryout. And I ended up trying out and I made the team and I ended up playing for the Queensland Brigade, which was my hometown team for LFL Australia. And in the inaugural LFL Australia season, I played for them for one season and I was going to play for them a second season, but LFL Australia just didn't take off in Australia. They didn't get the numbers, the viewership, so it wasn't worth the money. They ended up canceling the league. And after that, I was kind of like, oh, like I was so excited to play. I only just got started. I feel like I hadn't even scratched the surface yet. And then some coaches in America reached out to me and said, hey, would you be willing to come and play in LFL US? And I was like, oh my gosh, the best league in the world is asking me to go out there and play. I was like, of course, how do we go about it? They said, you just got to come out here for a tryout and we just see how you are, like where your game knowledge is at. And then we'll let you know from there. And I was like, okay, perfect. So I was like, if I'm going to go to the States for a little trip, I'm going to go try out for different teams. I'm not going to just come for one team. So I had some friends in the back office of LFL and I said, hey, can you just put the word out there that I'm going to come to America for 3 weeks? And if you can just let any other teams know that if they're interested or if they need a QB, that I can come to their city and I'll try out. So I actually got a call back from Atlanta, the Atlanta Steam, Omaha Hearts, and the Las Vegas Sin. So I ended up going out to those three teams and I tried out for all of them. And I was really lucky enough to be able to be given a contract to all three teams. So it was my choice of where I got to go. And I decided to go to the Atlanta Steam for my first year in the league. After the trip, I really loved all teams and all coaches, but I just felt like Atlanta was the place for me at that time. So I decided to go there. And then that's kind of how I got my foot in the door with football and the LFL.
Now, I think a lot of people, especially men, may have like a stigma. Okay. Like I was telling a buddy of mine at work who also has a podcast, and I told him that I was interviewing you this week. And immediately he says, okay, women playing football, like that doesn't seem exciting to him. It doesn't, he's like, oh, like this doesn't seem like it's like legit, right? Then I showed him a couple of your highlights, and he was like, oh my God, look at her spiral. Like, you were like, he's like, okay, maybe I was wrong. Like, why is there such a stigma for women playing football versus men when you ladies were like legitimately like pounding each other and throwing it down hard on the field?
Yeah, I think that I don't know. Well, when I came into the league, it was very competitive. But prior to when I came in, it was known as the Lingerie Football League, and it was also known as a Super Bowl halftime show where legit models were just on the field in uniform throwing the ball around. So I think that was its first introduction to the US and the world. So after people watched that, they're like, oh, these girls aren't for real, you know? So it started to have that stigma. But then when they moved away from being a Super Bowl halftime show and into an actual league, it then attracted girls who played sport in college at very high level. And these girls are athletes. And even though that they didn't have an American football background, they were natural athletes, you know? So once you taught them the game, they could excel in any sport that they wanted to do. And that's when the league started to get competitive and it started to get really tough. And like you see some highlights out there where girls get hit so hard. Girls are throwing bombs, like the spirals are really good on the QBs. QB play is good, play calling is good. The way that coaches run the organizations are good. So then the league started to change, but I don't think that it got the marketing that it deserved. So then people didn't realize that, oh, there's actual athletes playing this sport now. Because majority of the fans who come to watch the LFL, they come because of the lingerie aspect, but they stay because they realize how amazing it is. So that's kind of how we converted people to be LFL fans, because they realize like, oh, these girls aren't just beautiful, they're strong and they're talented as well.
Now, I only played football for 3 years when I was in high school, okay? And I
Yeah.
was the kicker. So, and I wore all full gear, okay? So I don't have much like street cred, okay, when it comes to playing football. So the fact that you guys or ladies were out there like legitimately playing without full gear, like in pads like the dudes do. I mean, you're already more badass than I would ever be as far as a football player goes. Like how, I mean, were the bumps and bruises like that much worse because of like the lack of gear that you ladies were wearing?
Yeah, it was really bad because what we played on was AstroTurf, but below the AstroTurf was concrete. It was so hard. It was hard as rock. And you know, the burns that we would get after the game, the bruises, like just being hit hard because the shoulder pads that we wore were just foam. They weren't real shoulder pads, and we wore hockey helmets as well.
So even the
And
shoulder pads weren't even like,
they were just for show, I think. They
wow,
weren't
okay.
real shoulder pads. Yeah. So we were out there, getting hit pretty hard. And I remember one time, because I remember one of my QB friends, he said to me, he's like, how do you not wear rib protectors? And I was like, I didn't understand it at the time when he said it. And then I think it was like the season after, I was mid-throw, like I was mid-throw and I got hit right in the ribs. And then I was like, oh, that's why you need rib protectors. Like I couldn't speak after that play. I walked back to the huddle and I had to call the next play, and the words just couldn't come out. I was so winded. It was fine. I didn't break any ribs or bruise any ribs or anything like that, but I did get hit really hard, and it really takes the wind out of you. So yeah, it was very difficult. Whenever we had a game where we played outdoor at a stadium, some teams had outdoor stadiums, and in Chicago one year when I played, we had an outdoor stadium. So that was really cool. We loved it because we got to play on grass. So when you got hit, it felt like you were getting hit into a soft cloud compared to what we were used to.
Well, and if anybody's taking like a legit fall on grass, it does hurt, but like compared to the AstroTurf, it's like
It's nothing.
floating on like cloud nine then after a
Yeah,
little.
it was so nice.
Now, did I read or hear correctly that you had surgery on your knees from being in the football league as well too?
Yeah, so I only had one ACL reconstruction while I was playing football. I actually had another one prior when I was playing touch football, which is a version of rugby in Australia in high school. But then yeah, 4 years later, it was my second year in the LFL. I tore my ACL. So I was out for 6 to 9 months. And it was actually the year that it was supposed to be LFL year two, but they canceled the league 2 weeks prior to the season starting. So we still prepared for it. And then the following April, so this was in November, I was supposed to go to Atlanta to start my Atlanta season. And yeah, I tore my ACL and I had to do the recovery and everything. When I actually got to Atlanta, I wasn't cleared by the surgeon yet, but I said, you know what, this is an opportunity that I don't know if I'll get again. So I just told them I was okay, and I ended up being okay. It was fine. But yeah, I wasn't cleared to play when I first got to Atlanta.
Yeah, because actually remember now, I was actually watching some of your podcasts and you were talking about that on one of your episodes with one of your guests, which should lead me to my next question is you do have a podcast out there that you've recently launched. I believe
Yeah.
you're like 6 episodes in right now, as
Yes.
of this recording. So as somebody who started up a podcast, I know how long it took me to get it going, right? Because you got a million thoughts in your head. You want it to be perfect. Episode one, you got everything going. So, what was like the thought process about launching the podcast? Like, why did you want to do it? And where is it now? And where do you hope it will go?
So I wanted to launch a podcast. I've always been like quite an introverted person and quite shy, and I wouldn't consider myself like a good speaker. And so launching a podcast was terrifying to me. It wasn't until, like I spent a lot of time in America, and being a quarterback, you take all of the interviews, you do all of the media and everything. So I had to naturally come out of my shell, and I got better at speaking. But the thought of doing a podcast to me, because the just going on as a guest for me, I was always so nervous and I didn't like to do it. But it was something that I wanted to overcome. It was something that was really outside of my comfort zone. And after leaving the league, I'd just been focusing on business, and I didn't really have my foot in the door with anything football related anymore. And football is like, part of my heart and soul. I absolutely love it. It's my passion. And I wanted to get back involved doing something with football, something that's just passionate, has nothing to do with business. I can just enjoy it and have great chats with amazing people out there. And so I decided to do the podcast, one, so that I could overcome my fear of doing podcasts, and also two, because I wanted to keep my foot in the door with football, and, just be able to talk to other athletes out there, if they're current or former, or people related in the athlete space, like people who could also be on the business side of sport. So that's the one thing, that's another reason why I wanted to start a podcast. So that was like my mindset going into it. I was just like, you know what, just start and see how it goes. And as you know, in the beginning, you have all these teething things that you go through, the camera, the sound. One time I forgot to plug my laptop in and my laptop died mid-episode and I had to plug my laptop back in and apologize to the guest. So there's so many things that I was learning along the way. And yeah, and I'm on episode 6 now, so I'm still learning. It's still not where I want it to be, but it's definitely better than it was in the beginning. And where I want it to go, like I really would love it to take off and I eventually be able to have an amazing platform for athletes to come on and share their story. Ever since I started it, the beauty that I found in it was just having the opportunity to be able to hear athletes tell their story. And these are people that I've known for years, but not until the podcast, I didn't realize their full background and how they got into the sport and everything. And I really love that aspect of the podcast, just being able to sit there and ask the right questions and hear their amazing story. And, you know, I find it really fulfilling. And so I would love for the podcast to be able to grow to a place where it also benefits the guests that come on. You know, it gives them a platform, it gives them viewership, it gives, you know, returns followers back to them or whatever it is. So that is my goal, is to be able to grow it to a place where it is a platform where athletes do want to come. They're like, you know what, I want to be on the Jelly J Zone. I want to share my story there because it's just so big. So that's my goal.
I feel like you stole my business plan for my podcast. Exactly. Because mine, you know, I branded mine, everybody has a story, because I feel like, you know, I work for a major media company down here for the shoot job, the real job, right? But like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many amazing stories out there. And I deal with a lot of people that are independent, like really trying to get their foot off the ground, really striving to like make a name for themselves and just have stories that nobody else is telling. And that was my main reason for starting up. And it feels like that's kind of like your, you know, one of your key factors for going is these people who have never gotten a platform to share. Everybody has an incredible journey, right? It's just in how you
Yeah.
tell it. And I love the fact that you're bringing like the football player thing to life, because I've seen you've had women from the LFL on. I've seen you have
Mhm.
had, you know, major football players from America on here.
Yeah.
So I really love the aspect that you're going with. And I have to compliment you because I've watched a couple of the episodes and your conversations just flow. Like they're really good already, 6 episodes in.
Thank you. I was so nervous. Like, I think the hardest episode was the first one because it was just me and me telling my story. And I didn't have someone to go back and forth with. So every time you know, there was a silent pause or something, like I was just really nervous because I just didn't have anyone to converse with. But I feel like, yeah, it was a lot easier because in episode 2, I had my best friend and her and we can talk all day long. And then the first couple guests were friends of mine, so I felt very comfortable having them on. There's only been a few guests that I didn't know, I hadn't met prior to being on the podcast. And yeah, those ones were a little bit more nerve-wracking for me because I'm like, oh, this is the first time meeting them. But yeah, it just worked out fine. And at the end of the day, you know, I was a football player, so I understand everything that they were going through. It was really easy to be able to just go back and forth about it.
Well, let's talk a little bit more football. I mean, today is the NFL draft is actually going on right now while we're recording this right now. And you posted a picture. Let's talk a little Aaron Rodgers. You posted a picture of him on Instagram this week. What do you think the
Yeah.
future for Aaron Rodgers as we're here in Miami, okay? So we don't like the New York Jets at all. So he's with the
Yeah.
Jets. So what do you think the future is for him with the New York Jets?
I really love Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the QBs that I absolutely love to watch. And it's just so crazy to me that him and Brett Favre have had such a similar journey.
I was gonna say if he goes and plays for the Minnesota Vikings 2 years from now, I'm like, this is
Yeah,
all scripted. This is
it's
professional,
scripted.
right?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, okay. So him going to the Jets. Well, I mean, the Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets now isn't the Aaron Rodgers, you know, like he was years ago. You know, he said it was because he didn't have the weapons around him and all that kind of stuff. So I am interested to see how he goes. He's also going from the NFC to the AFC. So that's different. And a lot of people would say that the AFC, especially that division, is harder than the NFC. Um, so yeah, I'm really interested to see how he goes. I don't know if he's gonna make such a huge difference. Like I hope for him because I really like Aaron Rodgers that he does well and he finds success. But I don't know, and it's just something that I want to, just keep tabs on. But I really love what the Miami Dolphins are doing. The head coach is crazy, but I love him. He's got so much character, so much personality. They've made some really good moves this off season. So yeah, I think it could be Miami and Buffalo going through to the playoffs and not the Jets and New England. So we'll see.
Yeah, you've got you got Miami, you got Buffalo, you got Kansas City, you got Cincinnati. There's a lot of big teams for him to really try to make a wave, because I think in his press conference today or something, he's like he saw the Jets Super Bowl III trophy, and he said it's very lonely over there. And of course, I had to post a picture on Instagram that says it's going to continue to be lonely because
Yeah, of course.
I'm a Dolphins fan, so it's going to continue being lonely for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, yeah. I hope he finds success, but I don't know if he'll make much of an impact, but we'll see.
Okay, who are some dream guests that you would love to have on your show? People who you'd really love to have a conversation with.
I would love to have Tom Brady on my show.
Okay.
Yeah, only because, and I know you're a Dolphins fan, so you didn't like Tom during his time at New England, but I really loved him because when I was playing football, when I first got started in playing the position at QB, I used to watch his Brady 6 documentary. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's really inspiring for someone. We had a similar journey in the sense that we were both the underdogs coming in and no one expected us to do anything. So I really resonated with that side of it. And then we both, went on and won or he won championships and I won a championship. So I really love that aspect of it. And then watching him play, I really respect his leadership, how he runs an offense, his ability to make things happen. He's got the clutch gene, he thrives under pressure. So those are all those are all things that I respect of him. So I'd really love to have him on the show just to talk about it. But him and we don't have the same playing style at all. He is a traditional pocket passer and he's no threat with his feet at all. And I would say that I am. I love running the ball. It gives me so much, it gives me so much confidence to be able to throw the ball. I would say I'm a better runner than I was a passer. But as I played and more developed my game over the years, I definitely felt like my passing got better, but I made a name for myself with my feet. And I would love to have him on as a guest. Who else would I love to have? I mean, I would love to have Aaron Rodgers on. I almost met Aaron Rodgers one summer. We were training at the same sports performance gym in LA, out in California. And we were the guys at the gym were talking about doing this QB challenge with Aaron and some of the other guys. And then they were going to ask me along because I was the only female QB attending this gym. But it didn't work out. Like the schedule didn't work out. So I didn't end up meeting Aaron and doing a QB challenge with him, but I would love to have him on the show as well. And, I'm naming all QBs because I love having QBs on the show. I just love talking about football. But yeah, Jalen Hurts would be another guest that I would love to have on the show. So yeah, there's a few people that I would love to have on, like dream guests. Like, who knows if it will ever happen, but if it does happen, I would be really excited.
Now, one of my dream guests for you would be one of my favorite quarterbacks growing up, who has a very similar playing style to you because he was a runner, he was a passer, and that was Randall Cunningham growing up, played for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I
Okay.
love the fact that he could just run and pass and be a jack of all trades out there. As a runner more than a passer, or something you feel like you exceeded more in, how fun was it just like grabbing the ball and maybe just trucking somebody that was in front of you, like running them over?
Oh, it was so much fun. I got the green flag from my coach, and he said, you know, if the Red Sea parts and you just see the gap up the middle, and you know, like all the defense is covering every single player, I always got the okay to take off and run. And he said, you know, just go get the first down or whatever. And it wasn't ever my intention to truck someone, but they came, and I was like, I don't want to get tackled yet. I can keep running. So I know from rugby to just drop your shoulder into them. And yeah, I ended up trucking a few people during my time playing. And yeah, I mean, in the moment, that's not how it happened, but I just kept thinking, like, I don't want to be taken down yet. Like, I want to keep running. So that's how that happened. But it felt so good because as soon as you truck someone in the LFL, the crowd goes crazy. So it literally happens, and then you just hear this roar in the crowd, and it gives you so much energy.
Now, while you were over here in America, I mean, there's, like whenever I could just imagine, going to Australia, there's like tons of things I want to see and do. I've actually been to Thailand. I went about 6 years ago, and spent
Mhm.
like 15 days, 16 days over there, which it was amazing. I went to Chiang Mai, I went to Phuket. It was just, Bangkok. I did the whole thing. What
Yeah.
were some of the most fun things that you did here in America? And what would be some of the fun things that you would like to do that you didn't get to do when you visited here?
Okay. So whenever we didn't have a game, because in the LFL you don't play every week, you play every 2 to 3 weeks. So sometimes we would get a weekend off, and I would just get on the road and go somewhere in America. And I went on so many road trips because that's what I love about America. The highways are so big and it's so easy to get around, you know, from city to city. And so road tripping is so easy in America. But some of the fun things that I did was I mean, I went to Super Bowl in Arizona, the Patriots versus Seattle. I went to that Super Bowl, so that was really fun. I went to Niagara Falls in Buffalo, so that was cool. And I did the Maiden of the Mist, you know, we went on the boat and got wet and all that kind of stuff. This is really random, but I went out to Memphis, Tennessee, and we went to the Elvis Presley house.
That's
So
one place I haven't been that's on my list. Yes.
okay, yeah, that was really cool. Because not only is there the Elvis Presley house, but there's all these other things you can do on these old school diners, you know, like the really, I don't know, it had all the Elvis Presley stuff in the diner, and that was really cool. Where else did I go? One thing I went, and it wasn't like on purpose, but at the time, I don't know why, but it was when I was living in Chicago and we had to go to Indianapolis for something, and this was on the way. And this is not like a tourism thing or what people would normally do, but I was so fascinated with the Amish culture because we don't have anything like that in Australia. And so on the way to Indianapolis, it was like I don't know, like a 40-minute detour, was Shipshewana, which is the Amish capital of America, or you know, like one of the biggest Amish capitals. So I just said to my friend at the time, like, we got to go to Indy. How about we just go a little bit earlier and just go driving through this like Shipshewana? And it was just like, you're a weirdo, but okay, let's do it. I know, I don't know why I wanted to do it, but I went out there, and when you get into Shipshewana, you like, instead of seeing cars, all of a sudden it's like you go back like 50 or 60 years, or even maybe longer than that, and you just see horse and buggy, people in the full dress, the gown, the guys with the big beards. And I just thought, this is what you see on the movies. You don't actually see it in real life, but it's actually happening. And I just thought it was so crazy. So yeah, we just drove around Shipshewana for like 20 minutes or whatever. And we went into a couple of the stores because like Amish chicken and Amish furniture is really famous. So we just like checked it out, and yeah, it was insane, like seeing all of like people who live without like technology and like all the things that they do. I just thought that was insane, and that was totally different. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. But at the same time, I've also done all of the other things. You know, I've been to Miami, been to New York, Times Square, all of that, Ground Zero, been out to LA. Where I haven't been yet is Seattle, and I would really love to go to Seattle. And where else haven't I been that I really want to go? I'm trying to think. I wouldn't mind going out to Mount Rushmore.
Okay. I know
Yeah,
I've
I
had
haven't.
a buddy of mine that went out there, but I've heard there's like zero cell phone reception. Very like
Ah,
it's just like up in the away from everything, I think. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think that's really cool about America. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I've done, and what I want to do next is definitely like Seattle is on my list.
Now I feel like maybe going to like the Elvis stuff is like, you said the Amish stuff is like 50, 60 years in the past. I think the Elvis stuff is like 50, 60 years in the past. I feel like the Amish is probably like 150 years in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah, yeah. It's probably longer than
Yeah.
150 years. Yeah.
So let's throw out just like a random question here off the top of my head. If Jayne Caldwell had to go a week living like the Amish with no technology, no electricity, how do you think you would survive and how would you try to pass the time?
Um, I've in Australia we do like a lot of camping. So I've gone like days without my cell phone before. So I don't think that would be the hardest part for me, but I think doing all of the other stuff that's associated with like the Amish culture, the like the religious stuff I wouldn't really want to do. Like that's not really like my thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, I find it like would be difficult. And also the clothing, that's not my style either. I don't know how I'd look in a full Amish gown length thing. And yeah, and the fact that the women have to cover up and all that kind of stuff, like that's not me. Like I like to I don't believe in all of that stuff. But teach their own, like I'm not judging or anything like that. It's just not for me. But yeah, so I think I would definitely I could do it and I could survive out there and be okay, but I wouldn't enjoy it. It just wouldn't be enjoyable for me.
I think that you have camping like history that you've already got a leg up on a lot of people here because I think if you take anybody's technology in the States away for more than a day, they would probably just lose their mind. I know how it is. We get hurricanes down here and the electricity and the cell phone service goes out and people just don't know how to handle it anymore.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have camping as like something to fall back on, I think, okay, I think you would definitely survive a week without technology then.
Yeah, no, I think I could. I mean, after that day 4 or 5, I think it might be a little bit tough because I mean, everything I do, like all of my businesses and everything I do is on my phone. So just I like, just constantly checking my phone to just make sure everything is good. But if I didn't have to like do business or anything like that on my phone, I would love a break actually because I'd be like, can people stop messaging me? So a break would be nice. But yeah, after 4 or 5 days, you'd be like, okay, I'm ready to get back to civilization now.
Right. Now I saw something else posted on one of on your Instagrams. It says about a not another detox tea.
Yes, yes.
Is that that's another one of your brands as well too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we just launched. I mean, we've been working on the tea for quite a few years now, but it just wasn't the right time with like Yabish and everything, so we would had to push that back. But in the background, we were kind of working on it. Um, and yeah, not another detox tea just literally just launched this week, and I'm really excited about it. It's only available for pre-order at the moment. But it's just like another thing, mostly for women, but men can take it too, but it's for bloating, digestive issues, stubborn belly fat, and yeah,
I
just
feel like men can take that. I know plenty of guys that have those
yeah.
things going
And it's
on.
a tea, yeah, it's a detox tea that you drink. You just drink it at night, and that's it. You don't have to drink it like during the day or anything. Like you just drink it at night before bed, and yeah, it has really potent detoxification benefits because the tea and the herbs and the flowers are all grown here in Thailand, and that's one of the main reasons that I'm on the ground here was setting that up. But it was like like growing up with a Thai mum, I always had all of these kind of remedies, like natural remedies that she would, when I'm sick, she'd be like, take this, it was like some ginger garlic concoction thing that she would give me with chili. And so the Thai mums always have like these kind of remedies, and these remedies have been passed down for generations throughout Thai women. And this specific tea blend is one of those remedies for digestive issues and belly fat for Thai women. And so, yeah, I was introduced to this remedy actually at the end of COVID, because during COVID, I put on those COVID kgs or pounds, and I wasn't feeling great. I was really bloated, and I was introduced through a friend of mine, a full Thai friend of mine, who was she had been taking this tea, this specific blend that her mum would buy at the market and then send her to in Australia, and she like made this tea for me. And yeah, I drank this tea and I was like, wow, this tea is amazing. Like, how I like, what's the website? Can I go online and buy it? And she was like, no, you can't. Like, my mum buys it from the market and sends it to me. So you can't, there's no website that you can buy it on. And I was like, oh, okay. And I don't know, something about this tea, because it just instantly worked for me and it made me feel so much better. And I was like, you know what? Like, a lot of women could benefit from this tea. And I was like, it's just another one of those Thai remedies that I knew about when I was a kid. And yeah, I ended up finding the farmers here in Thailand, which is a family, just a Thai family who have been, running this business for a long time on their own, and they just sell it to the local markets and everything. And it's actually female owned. The daughter, she ended up taking over the company, and they built like a sort of like a little factory to be able to manufacture, like once they get the produce in, then they put everything together in this factory. And I just said to her, like, can I buy the herbs and sell it in Australia and America? And she said, yeah, of course. And I said, okay, perfect. So I ended up becoming business partners with her, like her being our supplier. And yeah, being able to give this tea to women all around the world, because only Thai women had been using this blend. So I was really excited about it because I'm half Thai, and being able to bring a product into the market that is Thai and it's herbal, it's all natural, it's organic, it's vegan, it's really good for you. So yeah, that's kind of the story of how the tea company started. It was just all on accident. It wasn't planned out or anything like that. It was just kind of like, wow, I found this amazing tea and I want other women to have access to it.
I think that's how some of the best ideas are formed. I mean, we can sit there with pen and paper or computer and come up with a million ideas, but sometimes just the right timing, the right things just fall into our laps. And the key is to go out and grab it, while it's hot, or while you have the opportunity to. And I love the fact that you did that. And I love the fact that it's all natural. I think that's very important. One of the things my wife has taught me is to reduce like the medications,
Yes,
the
yes.
she's very anti like pills and aspirin
Yeah.
and as much as she possibly can. And I feel like this is such a great opportunity. Not only can it work and do the stuff, but you're not putting crap into your body as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's all grown from the ground. It's all like traditional Thai farming practices, like old school, like they're doing it the old school way. They're not doing it with the pesticides and all of this new stuff that they're doing these days. And yeah, like, like a lot of these pills and stuff, some of the medicine they pull from plants and then mix it with chemicals. And that's how we have a lot of our medicine today. But it also just works if you just take it that one step and go to the roots of it and consume that. And yeah, I'm also about that as well. Like my mum, she was never about the taking a Panadol for a headache. Like, no, she's got a tea for that. Or, like it's all about like the natural remedies. And I think it's because she grew up in rural Thailand. So they never had access to Panadol or paracetamol, painkillers or anti-inflammatories or anything like that. She always had a natural remedy for all of these ailments that I had when I was a kid. So yeah, I was kind of used to that growing up. And it's definitely something I want to limit. Sometimes even now I get lazy and I'll take a painkiller just because like I have a headache, I've got a huge day at work, but I try to limit that as much as I can. So yeah, bringing out something into the market that's all organic, natural, has traditional farming practices in the way that it's produced, I think yeah is really great.
Do you think there's kind of like a crisis going on as far as like how we eat our food and do stuff? Like one of the things we talk about like is when we go to the grocery store, especially here in the States. I think it's got to be one of the worst as far as like we never know what we're putting into our bodies nowadays. And
Yeah.
like we went to Peru several years ago and like legitimately the food that they brought us, the soup, like you could taste like it from the ground, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
is like Australia is a, a major place in the world, just like America is. Are you guys having that type of like issues over there as well too?
Yeah, like the mass production, mass consumption, GMO, like genetically modified produce and all of that kind of stuff. You really have to be careful what you're consuming because you think you're eating healthy, but then the GMO stuff, there's actually not a lot of nutrients in what you're consuming. So you think that you're nourishing your body with all of these foods, but because it's so genetically modified, you're not actually getting a lot of those nutrients. And I think it's just now being more aware and trying to get that message out there, like to consume like the organic and the natural produce and like being aware of where you buy your produce from. Like when I was in Australia, I stopped buying from the major supermarkets and started going to the like the mom and pop fruit shops where they just grow it, they have it all themselves, because then it's organic, it's homegrown, it's not genetically modified or mass produced. And yeah, I think that's something that we need to be careful of, because yeah, you think that you're nourishing your body, but your body's not actually getting the nutrients that it needs.
Now, as far as the tea goes, um, how do you plan to market it? Like, well, I mean, I think you did say the States it would be coming to. So how would people be able to buy it? Would they be able to go on Amazon or would they have to go through like a website? Like, how would people get their hands on this tea?
Yeah, so Amazon we're going to look at doing in the future. We're still just, in our launch phase. And at the moment, because we are in pre-order, so our product is limited supply because we can't mass produce because it is done in such a traditional way, which is why we have like batch. We do like a pre-order so we know exactly how much we're going to do in this batch, and then we're able to give it to the family to be able to produce because they can't handle the mass production, which we're fine with. We're okay with that, because it is such high quality ingredients that they're giving us. So at the moment we have a pre-order on our website, and because it's like new and we're trying to get it out there to as many people, we're offering free shipping worldwide and also buy one get one free. So at the price that you buy now, you'll also receive another packet from us. But yeah, Amazon we're not doing at the moment, but we're eventually going to be doing that. But mostly it's going to be Instagram. We're going to be on TikTok. We're doing like social media ad campaigns, and you can buy all on our website. So everything is on our website, all of the ingredients, all of that. So any information you have about the tea itself and how it can help you and the benefits that it gives you, and testimonials from all of friends and family, and just random people who we sent it out to get feedback and all of that from, is all on the website, so everyone can see that now. So yeah, it's only available on the Not Another Detox Tea Instagram, but soon we're going to do Amazon, so then it's more easily accessible to people in America and stuff like that. But yeah, at the moment we're still very beginner, and we just got the website and on Instagram.
Right. Brand new, quality over quantity, not looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Now,
Yeah.
you've got the tea, you got the fitness app, you got the podcast going on, right? Like, is there
Yeah.
any other cool projects you have coming up in the works?
No, no, that's
Too much
it.
go right now.
Yeah, no, I'm just focusing on those things. And because like outside, I love the balance and I love spending time with my friends and family. And so if I add anything more to my plate, I would be, I'd have no social life, and I'm not about that at all. A lot of people always ask me like, what's your entrepreneurship style? And yeah, it is work hard, but it's also you got to enjoy life as well, and you got to have that balance. And there's no point working hard and doing all of these things if you can't enjoy it with the people that you love. So I don't want to add any more to my plate. Like, of course, I would love to be on more podcasts. So if you have any friends or anyone else watching this that has a podcast, I would love to have me on. I would love to be a guest. I love being the guest sometimes rather than being the host. So it's really nice. But other than that, no, I have no other projects in the works at the moment.
Well, perfect. You don't need to. You got a lot on your plate. You got a lot going on. But definitely, keep up the great work. I'm digging the idea of the tea. I think that's really cool. The fitness app is really awesome. That is focusing on, the mind and the body, which is, I think sometimes it's harder for us to really get our minds right versus the body right more than anything, especially with all the craziness that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And the podcast is fun. You get to have a good time,
Yeah.
talk to people, enjoy it, learn some stuff, and just go from there. So definitely keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to let people know as well that the Yabish app for all women, it's free. So you can download it off the website and you can access it for free, like all of the workouts and everything on there. At some stage we may bring in like a more advanced version, but at the moment, everything on the app is free right now. So if any women are watching this and they want to try like a new workout program or nutrition guides or see our self-love Bible, you more than welcome. Download the app and it's absolutely free.
All right, perfect. Where all the other places? What's the YouTube channel? What are the Instagrams? What's the TikTok? Give us all that good stuff.
Okay, sounds good. So if you're interested in Yabish, it's at Yabish Fit on Instagram and TikTok. If you're interested in the tea, it's at Not Another Detox Tea on Instagram. We haven't got TikTok yet, but we're going to do that soon. And if you're interested in my podcast, it's at jellyj.c. It's the Jelly J Zone podcast. I think my YouTube is also at jellyj.c, and I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So, and also Apple Podcasts and Spotify podcasts and that as well. But yeah.
Well, Jayne, thank you so much. I know we talked about keeping this at an hour time because we were both very busy. We both got a lot going on. You got plenty of stuff to do. But it was definitely a pleasure. And, guys, when Jayne said reach out to her about coming on a podcast, she was very receptive, very good with, being very professional about with the messages. And I do appreciate that 1,000%. We set it up. We made this happen. Everything worked out great. So, Jayne, is there anything else we should know that I didn't touch on before we let you go?
No, I think that's everything. I just wanted to say, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really grateful and that you even considered to have me on as a guest. I know that I'm a little bit different to what your normal guests are, but I had so much fun today talking with you and just explaining everything about what's going on with my life and about my football career. So just thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, definitely. You said one of the things you're trying to do is overcome, your fear of speaking and stuff like that. And mine, I've had the comfort zone of what I know, the wrestling, that's the comics, the pop culture stuff. But I've been looking into branching out on top of that with the football. I have a boxer in mind, a female boxer in mind that I would love to interview. And just for me, it's helping me, you're helping me break my mold of going out of my comfort zone here and talking to somebody that I don't really know too much about or what they were doing. So I have to appreciate, me learning something as well tonight too.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think we both had a really great time tonight.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to let Jayne go because she's got a million things to do. So, guys, if you like interviews like this with Jayne Caldwell, make sure you follow her on all those social media platforms. Sign up for the fitness app. Buy some detox tea, whether you're a woman or a man. And make sure you hit that red subscribe button so you can stay tuned in here to Toned In Entertainment for future videos. Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.